Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom. On today's show, Duane Toews is visiting with Howard Miller with the Cheney Lake Watershed Project. Then enjoy this week's Kansas Soybean update. Next, Kyle Bauer and Tom Bius with Growth Energy are talking ethanol production. Then it's this week's Angus Report, and we'll end with Plain Talk featuring Kyle and Duane. Stay with us.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome to Farm Factor. Up first today, Duane Toews and Howard Miller are talking about the Cheney Lake Watershed Project.
Duane Toews joining you once again with Ag AM in Kansas, and a chance to catch up with Howard Miller with the Cheney Lake Watershed. And Howard, the Cheney Lake Watershed Project, an interesting group of individuals that have come together to address some serious issues. Can you give us a little background on why we're at where we are?
Well, back in the early 90s, the city of Wichita started noticing there was taste and odor issues with the water in Cheney Lake. And so they set out to find out what the problems were. They discovered that the taste and odor was caused by phosphorus that was loading in the lake and causing blue-green algae blooms. And since then, we've also discovered there's some sediment, a little less than we might have expected at this point, but there's sediment coming into the lake. So what we are doing as a project, we work with the farmers and ranchers above the lake to control the sediment and the phosphorus or the other nutrient runoff off of their land into Cheney Lake. And so right now we're a little bit behind schedule on what they would have expected for sedimentation, and our taste and odor issues have been few and far between, so we're gaining on it. And like I said, we started in the early 90s. In 1994 we were officially organized, and we've been working with farmers and ranchers since 1994.
It's interesting from my perspective. Oftentimes when we start thinking about water quality issues and such, typically immediately most people think about regulation. Here is a collaboration, and the results therefore are a better outcome for everybody involved, it appears.
That's right, and the city of Wichita is a really good partner for us in this watershed projects. So 60% of the water that's used in Wichita every day comes from Cheney Lake, and there's about 350,000 of us that live in Wichita that use this water. And the city of Wichita not only is interested in improving the water quality, they put their cash where their mouth is. In other words, they're out here putting cost share dollars out in the watershed. So if you get 70% from state or federal cost share, they'll often kick in the other 30%. Or if you get 60, they'll kick into the 40. Often there's very little cost to the producers in the watershed to do the things that they need to do to control the runoff off of their land.
It's an interesting concept that people actually can work together and achieve an outcome that's positive on both regards. I'm sure a number of producers are pleased with what they've seen with some of the implementation measures as well.
That's true, and we're here today at a Soil Health Field Day, and one of the reasons we're interested in soil health is because soil health is one thing that you can do on your farm that will increase your profitability and at the same time hold that soil back on your farm where you can use it and farm, and you also get more infiltration of the water. When you infiltrate water, it comes out as base flow into the stream, giving the city of Wichita a much safer supply of water. So it's a win-win.
Our thanks to Howard Miller with the Cheney Lake Watershed Project joining us on Ag AM in Kansas. Jamie, will send it back to you.
Thanks, Duane. Folks, come back after these messages for this week's Kansas Soybean Update.
To see this show and past episodes of Ag AM in Kansas, go online to agaminkansas.com. Summer is busy at Tarwater Farm and Home. We have just about everything you'll need for your summer projects, and we're consistently competitively priced. Tarwaters can help make your grass and garden grow. And we have a huge variety of equipment to cut it. If you have a farm, Tarwaters has the products and equipment to keep it going strong. And our expanded parking lot will make it even more convenient to shop. So come see us at Tarwater Farm and Home in Topeka.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Hi, I'm Kim Mandring with Hardy Insurance. I'm here to help you with all of your farm and ranch needs. When it comes to protecting your operation and your family, you need a name you can trust at a price you can afford. Call me today or visit hardyaviationins.com.
All over the country, more and more communities are making the change to biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil. And the decision continues, improving the health and welfare for millions of Americans while adding billions to our national economy.
This segment is brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and the Kansas Soybean Update.
This is the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Jim Hershey, Executive Director of American Soybean Association's World Initiative for Soybean and Human Health, joins us. And Jim, WISH recently sent 2 poultry producers from Ghana to Kansas State for participation in the International Grains Program Institute Feed Manufacturing Short Course. What was the purpose of having them come to IGP?
Well, you know, IGP does tremendous courses, and they get a lot of people from around the world, but we've been focusing on Ghana because there's real opportunity to grow the soybean market there, the U.S. soybean market. We got a grant from USDA's Food for Progress program to help their poultry and feed industry grow and develop and improve their techniques, and we gave part of that grant as a subcontract to KSU's feed program as well as their Reducing Post-Harvest Loss Innovation Lab. So Kansas State really gets around the world and does a lot of really good work. Some of their people went over to Ghana, did some help with the feed mills there. You know, Carlos Campanal, he's an excellent technician. And they identified a couple people that would benefit from the course. So we found some other resources from Kansas Soybean Commission, Grant to Wish program, and we brought them over.
The main promotion is still of soy protein, but you're seeing WISH having more work in feed and also in animal agriculture.
Most of the world's soybean protein is consumed by animals around the world, and our leaders said, you know, hey, if WISH is in Africa working on soy food, you know, the type of food that comes out of that newly reopened plant in Hutchinson, that's good, but hey, what if somebody wants to know how to use soy in animal feed, especially poultry, and that's what got us into that part of the demand base, and then the USDA was looking for people to help them develop their feed and poultry industry. We know how to do that. The soy family has been great at that around the world over the decades, and we jump right in.
And that really is a key to expand these markets like Ghana and others that would have the need for U.S. soy.
They already, on a spot basis, import some soybean meal from the U.S. It's hard to compete against Argentinian soybean meal, however, especially in markets like that. But we've introduced them to U.S. soybeans, and they're getting their first shipment thanks to some help from the USDA this summer. And I think they're going to find the quality difference and the availability of U.S. soybeans as being something they really want to do more of in the future.
That's Jim Hershey, Executive Director of American Soybean Association's World Initiative for Soybean and Human Health, who joins us on the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Learn more at kansassoybeans.org. For Kansas Soybeans, I'm Greg Akagi.
Hope you enjoyed this week's Kansas Soybean Update. Stay with us after the break for more with Kyle Bauer and Tom Bius with Growth Energy.
What if U.S. soybean oil were an industry sensation? If end users started asking for it by name? That future is here, the time is now. To meet customer demands, the Soybean Checkoff is investing in varieties that produce oil with increased functionality. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
What does a brighter, more sustainable future look like in our cities and towns, and how do we get there? When New York needed an alternative fuel source to reduce carbon emissions, the city found what it needed in biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil.
Heinen Brothers, a fourth-generation Northeast Kansas farm family, knows how tough farming can be. Farmers helping farmers. Heinen Brothers Ag, selling and servicing crop protection products, fertilizer, anhydrous ammonia, cover crops, quality aerial and ground application. Call today to learn about our extended term financing program. 800-760-4964. HeinenBrothersAg.com.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
This segment brought to you by Sure Crop. Liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
We're back. Now Kyle Bauer and Tom Bius are talking about ethanol production and how Growth Energy helps promote the industry as a whole.
This is Kyle Bauer visiting with Tom Bius. He is with Growth Energy. First of all, Tom, tell us what Growth Energy is and who you are.
We represent the ethanol producers and supporters of ethanol. We have about 90 ethanol plants that are paying members and about 40,000 grassroots supporters to help us advocate and support renewable energy.
Right now, during this time frame, what are some of your strongest initiatives or the thing that takes most of your time and energy?
Well, our focus has been on increasing demand and allowing consumers access to higher blends through the retailers for E15. E15 was approved a few years ago. It's been slow getting into the marketplace, but we've seen a huge development in the last year, and more coming, where retailers are starting to offer E15. And that's really important because up to this point, consumers haven't been able to buy the product. And we have all the facts on our side. It's cleaner, it's cheaper, and it's higher performing than E10 or natural gasoline. So our big focus is getting that into the marketplace. Let the consumers make the choice. A lot of the retailers are using what they call blenders pumps, which basically gives the consumer a choice. When they pull up there, they can buy E10, which is 87 octane. They can buy E15, which is 88 octane, or they can buy up to E80 or E85 blend if they have a flex fuel vehicle. The reason E15 is so important is virtually any car in America in the car park can use it. 90% are allowed to use E15. Every car manufactured since 2001, which is, a decade and a half ago, can legally use E15. It's cheaper than E10. It's higher octane. It's cleaner. The more ethanol you put in the tank, the less carcinogens you put in from the fuel mix that's provided from the refinery. So we think it's a great product. We know it's a great product. It's great for consumers. It's great for the environment, but it's also an answer to some of the challenges we're facing in the farm economy. America's farmers are the best in the world by far of any sector at being able to produce. In fact, they overproduce. We're sitting here with a 2 billion bushel corn crop overhanging the market, 2 billion bushels more than can be used. If you go to E15 nationwide, that will use about 2 billion bushels of corn. When you get supply and demand in balance, farmers get a fair, profitable price at the marketplace. If you have this huge overhead, it depresses farmers. And corn, being the largest crop in the nation, is kind of the king of raising or lowering commodity prices. And so if the corn crop is down, it brings down others. I like to use the term, a rising tide lifts all boats, a sinking ship brings them down in their wake. We have gone over into the decline in farm income, and it's going to be a tough time unless we increase consistent domestic demand for those commodities to add value to.
I'm with Tom Bius. He is with Growth Energy. This is Kyle Bauer reporting. Back to you, Jamie.
Thanks, Kyle. Come back after the break for this week's Angus Report.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways. Of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at KFRM.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
Hello, I'm Dr. Frank Lyons from Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center here in Manhattan, Kansas. Daryl was one of our patients that we did about 7 months ago.
I dug trees by hand for years and years and years. In the process, I wore out my rotator cuff. But when I learned about this process, I thought if there's a way to get rid of this pain, then I want to do it. So we did it, and it worked. I'm not going to go out and take trees with a shovel anymore, but I can do the things that I want to do now.
Well, it's been very gratifying to help people with their painful joints and other entities, and it's been especially gratifying to be able to help people who I know and have worked with and known for many years.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and the Angus Report.
In the mid-1990s, when Kansas cattle feeder Lee Bork saw the first value-based grid markets, he realized it was like a past generation of new car buyers and sellers. He talked about that recently.
They didn't have a lot with 200 cars on it you could pick from. They had 2 of them sitting in the front window, and you'd go in, you'd write the order down. And you had the price for the bare car, but then if you wanted air conditioning, or if you wanted floor mats, or if you wanted electric windows, this much for the air conditioning, this much for the floor mats, and this much for the windows. That's the way we approach selling cattle. Cash is a base index. That's average. That's your plain Jane auto.
If packers wanted better than average grade cattle, they needed to pay a premium. This much for more marbling, this much for leaner carcasses, with discounts if the cattle got too fat.
We got to be just like the automobile companies were. We produced more of what the packer wanted and less of what he didn't, and so we were able to get premiums out of it. It's really pretty simple economics.
While that might sound like producing premium beef became quite routine, it's never been cut and dry, or as simple as those driving economics.
It wasn't that we were extremely good to begin with in doing that. It took years for us to really figure out how to be efficient at what we were doing. There were mistakes, and you'd think you had it figured out, and you hit a weather event that would, you didn't know whether it was right or not then, because it would blow up the information that we were gathering. So you'd almost have to say it was a lifetime's worth of work to be able to get to where you're fairly comfortable. But even today, it's not an exact science.
Bork and his network of allied feed yards continue to innovate and respond with ever greater precision to the consumer demand for premium beef. I'm Bob Cervera.
Stay with us. We'll be back after the break with Plain Talk.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm, so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well on their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, and we're glad to answer it and work with you.
You don't have to be a farmer or rancher to become a Kansas Farm Bureau member. Anyone can join. As a member, you'll get discounts on things like hotels and entertainment, health and wellness services, cell phone plans, and more. You'll also strengthen the lives of your fellow Kansans and help build strong, prosperous communities through agriculture advocacy and education. Join us today. Visit kfb.org/join to learn more.
With nearly 100 years of broadcasting excellence, Ren Radio is now live on the internet playing hit songs of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Join Jack Diamond, Mac Collins, Les Glenn, Frankie C., Antonio Barber, Wings Callahan, and the real Don Steele for some of the best music ever recorded. Hear it at rendigitalmedia.com or get the Ren Oldies Radio app in Play Store or App Store and tell Alexa, good times and great oldies on Ren Internet Radio.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Welcome back. Now let's see what Kyle and Duane are up to on Plain Talk.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer with Plain Talk with Duane Toews.
Kyle Bauer, your fact or fiction question of the day. The state insect of Pennsylvania is the firefly. Fact or fiction?
No, that is fiction because they don't allow fireflies in Pennsylvania.
It's true.
Oh, really?
State insect of Pennsylvania, the firefly. You know, the firefly is like the precursor to turning all young people into, serial killers.
Why is that? Oh, because they all put them in the little jar and make them die.
Well, they tear them apart and put the little glowy part on their finger like a ring. Did you never do that?
I'm not admitting that on television, I guarantee, or radio. I think,
every kid I knew separated the glowy part from the rest of the insect.
Did you have to separate it while it was glowing, or when you separated it, did it become? So when it was glowing, then you could pinch it off, and make yourself a glowing ring.
Oh, like a diamond ring.
Huh. Wow.
We didn't have a lot of money when I was a kid.
That's pretty nasty. I think good thing. I bet that's in your permanent record.
It could be.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I'd like to go back and look at my permanent record.
Oh, you don't have that much time to read all that.
My high school permanent record. I would like to read that.
I talked to my wife about that, and she doesn't think they hang around that long.
Oh, really? Do they shred them?
They, at some point, so many years after their statute of limitations
is already passed, and so
that's what I got from her, whether she knew what she was talking about or not.
I'm kind of disappointed. I really would like to go back and see
what those teachers wrote about.
See what they said.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit like, straighten up, and this going in your permanent record, a little bit like having your name on the board. Oh gosh, don't put my name on the board.
On the board.
Yeah.
What am I going to do now?
Do you like vanilla ice cream?
I can tolerate it. I'm not a big ice cream eater, period.
I will tell you, vanilla ice cream is going up. Buy your vanilla ice cream now. Everybody out there, get out there.
Why?
Because it's terrible shortage of it. There's basically 3 places in the world that it comes from, and Madagascar is the biggest producer, and I'll find the others sooner or later.
Madagascar is an ice cream producer?
Yeah, and Mexico. No, vanilla. Did I say ice cream?
You said ice cream.
Vanilla.
Okay.
Vanilla. Okay,
now
Madagascar, Mexico, and Tahiti.
Now it's being more clear.
All right. So it's the vanilla part, not the ice cream.
Gotcha.
But that's where most of the vanilla is used in ice cream. And usually one of the cheaper ice creams you can get is
vanilla.
Exactly, but that's all going to go by the wayside. Did you know it was hand pollinated?
No.
It opens for less than a day. And it has to be pollinated during that day.
The vanilla bean?
And that all has to be, they bloom.
Right.
And then the bean grows.
The bean grows from the bloom.
Yeah. The high-value crop also has been a target for criminals. And so the farmers, because it's gotten so valuable, the farmers are harvesting it early so it doesn't get stolen, and it's not as strong of a vanilla flavor. So therefore, the amount of vanilla you have to put in goes up. So it's kind of a spiral up or a spiral down.
So there will be more bootlegging of vanilla out of Mexico into the U.S.? Is that the case?
I think that's what all those smugglers are doing. They're bringing vanilla.
Vanilla. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. See you next week on Farm Factor.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.